Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be taking a look at Regal Robot's latest addition to the archive collection, Wol Cabasshite. But we need a little bit of history here before we jump into the maquette. Because in true Regal Robot fashion, this is definitely an obscure character. So the Concept Maquette was sculpted by Johnston and the full-size version was sculpted by Judy Elkins. And even though this went through the full character development at the Creature Shop, it actually only got a few seconds of screen time. And the Chronicles book describes Wol as a strange creature that tries to lick C-3PO with its long tongue. And in that shot, it really does look like that, but of course it's just the perspective. And I had to turn up the brightness, but you could definitely see Wol in this scene. But my favorite shot of Wol is from Classic Creatures Return of the Jedi, where you could see Phil Tippett putting some slime on there and C-3PO touching the tongue. And of course, Regal Robot loves the deep dives and obscure characters, so they went into the Lucasfilm archives and digitally scanned the original Concept Maquette. And they're releasing two versions of the maquette, a signature edition that's going to be limited to 83 pieces, and it's going to be autographed by Johnston and will retail for $3.99. But they are also going to release a numbered edition that's going to be limited to 100 pieces, and that one's going to retail for $2.49, which I think is the lowest priced maquette that Regal Robots put out. And of course, both of them qualify for the 6-month payment plan. But the signature edition, in my opinion, is kind of the best deal just because you not only get the maquette, but Johnston's autograph, which usually retails for a couple $100s in the secondary market. And this maquette is small but mighty because Regal Robot does such an amazing job at capturing all of the details, and just the paint job is amazing on this thing. And as you can see, there's a lot of layers to this. You know, there's a lot of paint and washes on this. And especially for being such a small piece, there's a lot of detail, especially those little pinkish, kind of reddish dots that are all over the maquette. Those you could actually see in the original maquette in the archives. And one of my favorite things about the maquette line are just all the little details that you can find on these, like the little imperfections from the original clay that Regal Robot captures because they 3D scan these. So you could actually see these little, like, almost like fingerprint looking marks on the tongue, which probably not a fingerprint, they're just little, little scratches or something. But the fact that they managed to capture that amount of detail is just mind-blowing. And maybe it's a fingerprint, who knows, maybe you got Johnston's fingerprint on there, but it's really cool, and I just love looking for, these little imperfections. And the maquette itself has a lot of character, although it obviously looks like the full-size version. I think the smaller maquette almost looks a little more cartoonish. I don't know, there's something about it that just makes it almost look cute. And it's probably the big eyes, but it definitely didn't translate onto the life-size version because the life-size version is kind of creepy and just looks a little more menacing. And the artist over at Regal Robot Studios just knocked it out of the park with this. And like I mentioned, the signature edition comes with Johnston's autograph on this beautiful signature plaque. And Johnston worked on the visual effects on all of the original trilogy and Raiders of the Lost Ark and Battlestar Galactica. But a lot of people might not realize that he's also a very famous director, directing, these iconic films like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Rocketeer, The Young Indiana Jones, Jumanji, Jurassic Park 3, and Captain America First Avenger. So that's why I mentioned having his autograph is a huge deal. And both of the editions are going to be available on Regal Robot's website on Tuesday, April 15th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so make sure you set your alarms and don't miss out on this piece of Star Wars history. So thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, let me know how I can make these better, and I'll see you on the next one. Actually, I'll see you at Star Wars Celebration in Japan. Thanks, guys.